So good to be here. Just raise your hands if who is an agile coach or a scrum master? Anybody here? Okay, some people. Who's into product management, product ownership? Okay, any managers? Oh, any developers? Yes, I love that. I'm coming from Germany. Mayflower is a small IT and software delivery consultancy. We're about 100 people, and we are agile since 2005. And throughout the years, we were working with large companies. And as Justine said, shift left originally was coined in the testing field. And this talk is all about how to make shift left a paradigm inside your product development. So let's go into it. Most organizations do want to have fast product development. Who wants to have fast product development in your company? Yes, and normally managers think, okay, developers have to develop faster. Is that some kind of stuff inside your company? So everybody says, yo, developers, you have to work faster. But the reason is, and the question we have to ask is, why do organizations struggle with this, with faster product development? Before we go into that, we have to make clear what shift left is all about. It means to move a process to the left on the traditional software development lifecycle. That's the main idea of shift left. And that means you do things earlier, you deliver earlier, and you get your feedback earlier. As we've heard in the talk before, it's all about learning, all about earning, but in a faster way. So you have to deliver something to get the right feedback from the users and to make your product more feasible for the users, more viable for the users. So you have to have some kind of paradigm like shift left for the whole software development lifecycle and for the whole product development lifecycle. So as I said, C-level, middle management, everybody wants to get things faster, right? And the thing is, product development is slow in organizations. Throughout the years, I'm 25 years in the business, I haven't seen that much product development, which is a fast product development, in larger classical organizations. We've seen that in startups, we've seen that in environments where you have a good knowledge of tech stuff at the C-level, but not in classical, larger, multinational organizations. So product development is slow. And to undermine this, this sentence, I searched for some studies. And in one of the study, they researched the lead time. And they said 40% of the lead time, so from idea to delivery, is spent on analysis and specification. So sometimes you think of product discovery as requirement specifications, where you have long tickets, long requirements, documentation, and stuff like that. 40% of this time is spent on analysis and specification. That's a huge amount of time. And 17% is only used for design and development. So really a small fraction of time, of the whole lead time, will be used for developing the stuff, the features you have to use. And 20% of this time, of the lead time, will be done for verification. That means for testing. So you have a mere 37%, which is for the doers, and the rest of the time is for the thinkers, for the management, for the departments who try to ideate feature ideas and stuff like that. So a small amount of time is really only done for doing the stuff, for developing the products. And there's another thing, which is sunk costs. 23% of the time inside the lead time is the wait time between verification and releasing the software. This is waste. And 26 to 50% of requirements are never done. This is also waste. And I think that's pretty shocking. And we have to search for things how to do it better. And that's what I'm talking about. In the ideal world, you have the DevOps lifecycle. Everybody knows this. You have the DevOps lifecycle. That's the ideal world. And the reality is that 40% of analysis and specification is done before development. Who has the same experience? Okay, some people here. So you have a lot of thinking time before doing the stuff. And why is that? What's the reason for that? I think we can do it better in software development and especially in product management. And if you want to do it better, one key takeaway from this talk is to look at the DORA statistics. That's the DevOps Research Institute, which was outsourced or created by Google. And DORA fosters shift left by focusing on what really counts. And there are 4 key metrics you have to think of and you can optimize for. The first key metric is the deployment frequency. That means that the best teams on the market can deploy in a high frequency. And that means earlier and often is better. So if you are able to release more often and earlier in the process, you are likely to have a better product. That's the first DORA metric. The second DORA metric is the lead time for changes. So when somebody requests a change, maybe the internal department or you get some user feedback and you want to have something changed, if it's easier for you, for your development team to incorporate those changes and deliver it to the users, then you're good. And the best teams on the market have a really small frequency, a really small time for changes. So the shorter is the better. That's the second metric. The third metric is mean time to recovery. That means if your systems fail, if some of your components fail, what is the mean time to recover those systems? And again, shorter is better. So the best teams on the market, they can heal their systems in a short amount of time. And if you think on cloud native, we will come to that later on, you want to have systems that are self-healing and that are able to repair themselves. So you get a really small time to recovery. And the best teams on the market can deliver on that. And the fourth key metric of the DORA report is the change failure rate. So that means whenever you introduce a change into the system, what's the failure rate? What are the failures, the regressions that are coming up? And the lower, again, is better. So the best teams on the market have a really low change failure rate. This is the DORA key metrics. So the first thing you have to do is go and fix your infrastructure. Because the infrastructure, if you think on GitOps and stuff like that, is the baseline for your systems inside the technology. At a code level, to do the shift left, you have to do trunk-based development. So you don't use feature branches. Do you know who uses feature branches in your tech teams? Okay. If you do feature branches, a feature branch should only live some hours or with a maximum of 1 day. Because normal teams and good teams, they use trunk-based development. That means you commit to the baseline of the code, and that means you catch errors very early in the software development process. If you have long-living feature branches, then the longer the feature branch lives, the more it is likely that you get errors when merging them into the code. So my first suggestion is switch to trunk-based development because that's the best you can get because you catch errors very early in the process. And that's what shift left is all about, right? The second is use static code analysis and observability, at least inside your software development environment. Who uses this? Raise your hands, yeah. So that's pretty basic. Static code analysis helps the developers catch errors locally when writing the code. So it's the baseline. Of course, shift left was coined in testing. You should do automated testing on all levels. Not only test-driven development at the code level, but also for user testing, end-to-end testing, front-end testing, regression testing. Everything has to be automated to a high degree. Who uses this in the systems? Okay, a bit more people, yeah, fine. And of course, shift left has done to security. You should also do security analysis at the code level. There are systems in place where you can automate your security analysis already in the IDE. So just before delivering it to the users, you could also use it at the code level. So shift left means everything is done at the earliest moment possible. And that brings us to continuous delivery. Who is doing continuous delivery? Okay, should be more, because it should be pretty standard. Continuous delivery means you work so that your software is always releasable. No matter where you are in your process, it's always releasable. And you optimize for the speed of feedback, because that's what agile product development is all about. To get your feedback at the very earliest possible moment. And so that's why good teams and the best teams on the market have continuous delivery at the baseline. It's not an exciting feature, an exciter, to speak in the Kano model. It's just the baseline. So if you don't have that, just do that after the conference. Optimize your infrastructure. And product discovery and delivery is exploration and validation. We've heard that in the talk before. So that means that you discover at the earliest moment possible. You don't have any overlays within discovery sprints that are done before and anything like that. Who knows team topologies? Okay. Team Topologies is a really great book. It gives us a vocabulary about team structures. And team structures should be created that let us organize for flow. And what does that mean? Well, the majority of your teams are so-called stream-aligned teams. If you use frameworks like LESS, scaling frameworks, this is like feature teams. So these are end-to-end responsible teams, which are so-called stream-aligned and which are able to produce and deliver feature autonomously because they have the end-to-end responsibility from infrastructure to delivery. Who has stream-aligned teams or feature teams? Okay, not so much. The opposite of stream-aligned teams are component teams. Component teams means that in order to deliver one feature, you have handoffs between a lot of teams. So for example, a backend team, a front-end team, UX team, DevOps team, that's in the classical world. But in order to get a fast product development, you need stream-aligned teams. And this is inside the shift-left paradigm because this helps to produce software faster. And the next thing is that cloud native is a game changer because shift-left thinking, so doing everything as early as possible in the software development lifecycle, is mandatory to get the whole potential from cloud native. Who's using cloud native paradigms? Not so much, okay. So cloud native does not mean just using AWS S3, so cloud storage or anything like that. It's also more than continuous integration and continuous delivery in the cloud. It's a lot more, and we get to that. And when we have cloud native and the shift-left paradigm inside the whole development process, in my opinion, we don't need Scrum anymore. Who's using Scrum? So go throw it away. You don't need that anymore. And not only because of continuous integration and continuous delivery, because why should we have 10-day sprints? We don't need any sprints anymore. If I, as a product development team, am able to deliver to the user 20 times, 30 times, 100 times, 1,000 times per day to the user, I don't need any sprint planning. I don't need any story points, because the feature goes to the user every single day. So the best teams don't use Scrum, right? Is there anybody using Scaled Agile Framework? Okay, so you must be working in large corporations. And the same goes here. You don't need any scaled frameworks for that, because the teams are small enough. The teams have end-to-end responsibility for the whole product or the product area, and they are able to deliver hundreds of times a day, potentially. Yeah, it's not that you have to do that. So cloud native means the culture changes. We are not using iterations anymore. We are collaborating inside the team, where we have a really tight social cohesion. And between the teams, there's not so much cohesion, because the teams communicate over APIs. The product design thinking changes. It's not about feature-driven product design and product delivery. It's about data-driven product design and product delivery. Because when you are able to deliver tens or hundreds of times a day, you just need the data to see if the feature was good enough for a user or not. And then you decide autonomously what you will do as a team, and not the management in the other department. Team setups will move from cross-functional teams to teams that have DevOps culture and that are supported by platform or SRE teams. So platform teams is the coin if you're not Google, and if you're Google, you call it SRE, because it was invented there. The process will change. As we've heard before in the talk, you don't do just the Scrum stuff. You also think about design thinking. You have agile thinking, and of course you have lean thinking, because you optimize for flow. And that's why Scrum Masters need this knowledge in order to help their teams and to guide their teams. The architecture changes, the software architecture. You move from client-server to microservices. Of course, everybody uses microservices, don't you? And maintenance moves to full observability and self-healing of the components. If there's an error, I don't care, because the containers will get destroyed and spun up again. And with technologies like WASM, you get that spinning up of a container in milliseconds than in seconds. So you really have autonomous fleets of containers which build up your software. Delivery, as we've heard, moves from continuous integration to continuous delivery. That's a no-brainer. And provisioning moves from configuration management to orchestration, for example, with tools like Kubernetes. And infrastructure moves from single virtual machines to containers in a hybrid cloud. So, to summarize this chapter, shift left is beneficial within cloud-native environments. And cloud-native today is also some kind of old. We have that for years. But we see that organizations don't implement it in full details, and so they don't get the full potential from that in order to get a fast product development. And the main question was how to get faster product development. So you define your product as the combination of architecture, technology, and the team structure will follow. So that's the main reason why you don't generate or construct any team topologies. You just define your product and your architecture for the product, and then technology types and how you structure your teams have to follow that. It's not the other way around. So, to summarize, why should the product owner or product manager steer this holistic change? If you're a product owner, you will think, it's really technical. I've got my technical team here. They are the experts. I'm the expert on the product. Well, the thing is, it's your duty to maximize the value of the product. And please tell me, if you don't have any technical knowledge, how can you maximize the value of the product? If you don't know what is the baseline for technology in 2023, how can you maximize the value? Because technology is the base of the product. So to summarize, you have to fix your infrastructure. Dora can help you. You should fix the coding habits and always work on trunk. And you should work with your Scrum Master and your lead developers how to change the development culture inside your team to always work on trunk and get faster results. You should fix your testing, of course. I hope everybody works with test-driven development. So do it first or early in the development process. Of course, you should fix your security. Don't do security analysis at the end. Just do it inside your IDE. And you should fix your product development. So discovery and delivery should happen at the same time, not distributed. And you should fix your team structure. So team topologies, the vocabulary we get from this book, can help for discussing with your managers. Of course, you should also think about Conway's Law. Conway's Law says that organizations will design systems, like software systems, who follow the communication structure of the organization itself. So that means if you have a crappy organizational structure, you will get a crappy product. So you have to change that. There are methods for this, like the inverse Conway maneuver, where you can change the organizational structure according to the ideal architecture of your product, of the product technology. And the main question is, why should you product owners care for that? As I said, you have your technical team. They could do all the things. Well, if you remember the Scrum Guide, in earlier versions, the Scrum Guide said the product owner is the single wringable neck for the organization. And that's why, from our experience in larger organizations, the product owner has a bit of a better standing towards the management than, unfortunately, the Scrum Master or Agile coach has. So normally in larger organizations, of course, according to the Scrum Guide, the Agile coach and the Scrum Master, they should advise the organization about Agile delivery, Agile software development, and agility. But in most organizations we have seen, the product owner is the go-to guy. And so that's your duty to implement a better infrastructure for your product, because you have the influence to influence your organization. And of course, fix your management. In 2023, there should be modern tech knowledge at the C-level. In the last 25 years in our business, when we have seen a lot of organizations, and there's a correlation between the knowledge of modern technology at the C-level, or the absence of the knowledge, and the success of the products. So you have to have a better knowledge at the management level about what is possible in 2023. And then you as a product owner, you as a product manager, as an HR coach, you should strengthen your tech muscle. You will need some tech knowledge in order to produce superior products. Because of cloud native, And the recent advancements in artificial intelligence with large language models, you need tech know-how. Because if you don't know what's possible, you are not able to build great products or better products than your competition. So you should revisit your thinking models, because cloud native changes the game, from my opinion. And that's why I'm here to talk. And you should optimize on all levels to getting feedback at the very earliest possible level. Thanks for listening.
Dankeschön, Bjorn. Sorry, I had to impress you with my German, you know.